think we can start this info session. I will start with just introducing you the agenda of today's event. Initially, we'll have an introduction of the ERA4Health partnership by the coordinator of the partnership, Ms. Cristina Nieto. Then immediately after, we will start with the presentation of the call. The first intervention is by the Professor Lanza, an expert, which will describe us the technical, scientific part of the call, the scope of the call from the scientific point of view. This intervention will be followed immediately by a dedicated question and answer section, because the expert has to leave us before the end of the event for other commitments. So please be informed that if you have technical, scientific questions, to ask this immediately, because this part of the question and answer will be done immediately after the presentation of the scientific part. As you can see in the agenda, the questions can be posted via chat. Since we are so many participants, we thought that it's preferable to have all the questions via chat, and so it was really easier to answer and to manage the meeting and the conference. And also, at the same time, we will keep track of the questions, and maybe we can even answer after if needed. Okay, then after the scientific part, we move into the administrative part of the call, and I will explain you the call process and the eligibility and evaluation rules, also not only the eligibility, and also a very brief introduction to the submission tool. At the end, before the final round of question and answers, Ms. Ellen Marie Forsberg will explain you the principles of the responsible research and innovation, which are used in this call, which you have to answer to some questions in your applications. And at the end, we will have the question and answers. Again, also this via chat. So at any moment, you can write your questions in the chat, and then when it is the time to discuss it, we will go through your questions. And now I pass the floor to Ms. Cristina Nieto. I stop sharing my screen so that you can see her on the screen. Please, Cristina.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for joining today to this info session of the NutriBrain call of our partnership. I hope that you can see my presentation now.
No, at the moment, no. We cannot see you also.
Wait a minute. Now you can see it?
Yes.
Yes, and now we see your presentation.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Aldo, for the kind introduction, sorry. It is my pleasure as ERA4Health coordinator. My name is Cristina Nieto, and on behalf of my institution, Institute of Health, Carlos III from Spain, I'm coordinating this ERA4Health partnership. And it is my pleasure to be today with all of you in this info session for the NutriBrain call on 2024. That has been already launched and will be performed next year. So I would like to introduce you the ERA4Health partnership, a brief overview of our main objectives and our main activities. This partnership will bring the opportunity to increase European collaborative research funding. We will create a joint funding body to call joint transnational calls dedicated for priority areas that have been identified in our strategic research and innovation agenda that will address European public health needs, and we will try to set up Europe at the forefront of science and innovation in health research by 2050. The ERA4Health partnership has been built on previous 16 initiatives, mainly the ERANET's ERA-CVD, focused on cardiovascular diseases, EuroNanomed, that was focused on nanomedicine field, and also the HDHL ERANETs, that is currently linked with the JPI HDHL, the current initiative that is still ongoing, but we are in close collaboration to avoid any overlapping in our proposals. Our specific objectives are mainly support relevant medical research, including clinical fields and intervention areas to cover from prevention, diagnostics, and treatments, improving the utilization of existing health technologies in clinical practice, building capacity, particularly while conducting clinical studies initiated by investigators at European scale, and also implementing and developing responsible and research and innovation in multiple ways, which is connected with one of the speakers that will attend today. Here is the impact pathway of our partnership. I will not enter into details. I think that the slides will be shared afterwards, but just as a reminder, our main impacts is to build a stronger Europe through a foster for health research, increase the good health and high quality accessible healthcare, making available more effective solutions for health promotion and disease prevention, enable the healthcare providers to be able to better tackle and manage disease and reduce the disease burdens on patients, and to make people-centered health policies and actions. ERA4Health partnership is therefore a flexible instrument for joint programming in European priority areas, as I said before. It will have two different phases. First phase that will have a duration of 2 years approximately, in which we aim to launch joint transnational calls in nutrition, diet and healthy lifestyles, cardiovascular diseases and nanomedicine, which are our priority areas identified in our SRIA, and also to establish a framework to support multinational investigator-initiated clinical studies. By the end of this first phase, we aim to launch a pilot call on those types of clinical studies initiated by investigators, if possible by end of 2024. And with this pilot call as milestone, we will enter in with the approval of the Commission into a second phase in which we will continue launching calls in priority areas identified by our SRIA and other potential areas that are identified, and also those calls for clinical studies initiated by investigators to cover health technologies addressing public health needs. The second phase has an expected duration of 5 years until 2029. The consortia of ERA4Health includes 33 partners, mainly funding organizations, but also other types of institutions, that covers the 17 of the actual members of the European Union, also 3 third countries associated to Horizon Europe, Israel, Norway, and Turkey, and 2 third countries, Egypt and Taiwan. And the funding organizations covered the whole value chain of the research from basic to clinical research, and also including translational research. This is the structure of the project. We have different pillars. The pillar 1 is for pillar 0 is more focused on management and coordination. Pillar 1 is focused on strategic planning and is led by Sonnenberg. It has the updating of our SRIA, exploring synergies, development of annual work plans, and also discovering the present trends and future developments. The pillar 2, the joint funding activities, has 2 sub-pillars. The pillar 2 is led by ANR, the French agency. The pillar 2A is more focused on joint transnational calls and is led by the Italian Ministry of Health. It covers the launching these types of calls, such as the ones that we are making publicly available today. And the Pillar 2B is more focused on this development of the framework of investigator-initiated clinical studies and is led by ECRAN. The Pillar 3 covers the transversal activities, is led by the Norway Research Council, and includes from responsible research innovation activities, also capacity building initiatives, monitoring frameworks, sustainability, etc. Here is an overview of the governance and the different synergies of the partnership. The management board is the body that includes all the members of the consortia. For each joint transnational call is created a call steering committee with all the funders that intervene in this joint transnational call. Also, similarly, will be created the clinical call steering committees for the other calls for clinical studies. The executive committee is conformed by the coordinator, ISCI, and also the pillar leaders, SONEMBE, ENR, Ministry of Italy of Health, ECRAN, and the Research Council from Norway. And we have two advisory boards, one a strategic advisory board, and also another one focused on ethics and responsible research and innovation aspects. We are in close collaboration with JPI HDHL and with the former ERA4Health. We were in close collaboration, especially for the call topic selections. We have a dedicated synergies working group that I will present more in detail afterwards. A working group dedicated for responsible research and innovation, since this is a key aspect in our partnership. And we are in collaboration with the European Medicine Agency in the activities of Pillar 2B. Here is the presentation of the members of the two different advisory boards, the strategic one and the responsible research and innovation and ethics advisory board. That the last one, they are creating a development RRI guidelines that I think that will be presented afterwards. And here is the synergies working group that covers different initiatives from the field of health, other fields different from health that are related somehow with ERA4Health, such as the food field or animal health and welfare, etc. Initiatives related to clinical studies and research infrastructures. And we have our first international annual workshop for the research of synergies of the partnership last June. Here is a presentation of the priority areas of the strategic research and innovation agenda that is publicly available in our website. Our priority areas in this area identified are prevention and public health strategies, nutrition and lifestyle related diseases, cardiovascular diseases, nano and advanced technologies for disease prevention, diagnostic and therapy, and we have also room for flexible funding topics. This was created ad hoc specifically due to the pandemic situation of COVID-19 to allow, in case that health emergencies arise, we could include dedicated topics for our joint transnational calls. And I will remind you the different joint transnational calls that we have launched so far. Last year, we launched two different calls, one on health equity, increasing health equity through promoting healthy diets and physical activity. The Secretariat of this call was the German agency, DLR, and the call topic selection of this call was developed in close collaboration with JPI HDHL. All the information about this call test and the rest one are available in our website, as well as in the portal of the Commission, and also as well in Twitter. The other call that was launched in 23 was focused on the cardiovascular disease field. It was coordinated research targeting development of innovative therapeutic strategies in cardiovascular diseases. The call secretariat of this call was the French agency, ANR, and the proposals will have to address one or both of the topics: repair and regeneration of the heart and the blood vessels, or chronic heart failure and atrial fibrillation. Those two last joint transnational calls have recently communicated their results to the coordinators, and in the following months, the results will be publicly available about the funded projects. And today we are in the info session of this NutriBrain call, which is one of the joint transnational calls that are launched by ERA4Health in 2024. NutriBrain is focused on modulation of brain aging through nutrition and healthy lifestyle. I will not enter into detail because our colleagues from Moore will present you more in detail the call. The Secretariat is hosted by the Italian Ministry of University and Research, Moore, from Italy. And it was developed, the call topic selection in close collaboration as well with JPI HDHL. And all the information is publicly available in our website and the portal of the Commission on Twitter. And the second call that will be launched by ERA4Health in the next week will be launched. It's already available, the pre-announcement. Is NanoTechMed, Nano and Advanced Technologies for Disease Prevention, Diagnostic and Therapy. The aim of this call is to support translational research projects that combine innovative approaches in the field of nanomedicine. The Secretariat of this call will be also the French agency, ANR, from France. And the call topic selection was developed in close collaboration with the former Euronanomed 3 and also ATPN. And the pre-announcement of the calls, as I said before, is in our website, and very soon it will be published the call test. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Cristina. Now I would like to pass the floor immediately to Professor Lanza for the scientific part, for the description of scientific aspects of this call. Good afternoon.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Okay, thank you, Aldo, Dr. Covello, and would like to also thank the Italian Minister of University and Research and all of participants, of course, for being here, for attending, and the ERA4Health also partnership for the important initiative, which is co-funded by the European Union. Would like to share the slides. Okay. Full screen. Yep. Okay, you should see my desktop now.
Yes.
Okay, so if you can clearly see the slides, I would start now.
It's not in presentation mode. Sorry.
Now?
No, now it's perfect.
Okay, so thank you once again, and Cristina, of course, as well, for the introduction. My name is Giuseppe Lanza. I am a clinical neurologist and associate professor of applied medical science techniques at the University of Catania, and also a clinical researcher at the OASI Research Institute, IRCCS, which is a Italian institution which combines clinical and research activity together, especially focused on neuroscience, from neurodegeneration to neuro rehabilitation. So in this short presentation, I would like to divide it in two parts. The first part is basically scientific, theoretical. The second half is deals with the call, and especially some parts of the call. When I usually talk about this topic, I always start with this picture, okay, because you know that we are actually living a so-called cognitive tsunami. Probably because I work with this degenerative disorders, I would say that many countries, especially in the industrialized countries, are living a cognitive tsunami in terms of an significant increase of diagnosis of dementia and mild cognitive impairment, even in younger subjects than older ones. So, degenerative disease, we know that there are a constellation of diverse but disabling and all progressive and increasingly common, as said, processes that cause a significant clinical burden, caregiver distress, and healthcare expense. And unfortunately, although we have today different form of management, we are still looking for a real disease-modifying treatment, because the therapeutic tools we currently have are purely symptomatic, and treatment efficacy still relies on early diagnosis. Diagnosis which is still based on clinical findings, which, however, can be difficult to detect, especially in the initial stages of the degenerative process, or sometimes they are non-specific. So the diagnosis occurs typically later, when the disease process is over, and both patients and families have difficulty to accepting or managing them. So we need to focus on prevention, but what type and what strategy? From epidemiological studies, we know that we have at least 3 levels of prevention. The primary one, which is also called environmental or ecological prevention. The secondary prevention, which is based on early diagnosis and screening of at-risk patients. And the tertiary prevention, which actually means rehabilitation in order to prevent or limit disability. So we should point on primary prevention, because the early diagnosis, as stated, is already maybe too late for to stop or to slow down neurodegeneration. Just a quick reminder for the sake of completeness, because everyone and we always talk about early diagnosis, but what does early stand for in cognitive neuroscience, and what does diagnosis stand for? So we can use this simple table in which we have specific symptom present, specific symptom absent, biomarker positive, and biomarkers negative or not performed. So when we have a patient with a cognitive complaint who does not fully comply with the Alzheimer's disease diagnosis, and we have biomarker positives in terms of neuroimaging or CSF or other biomarker identified, we could call this patient as prodromal Alzheimer's disease. So it's a really early AD diagnosis. Conversely, if we have biomarker positive but without specific symptom, we can call this patient as affected by preclinical Alzheimer's disease. It means that he is still asymptomatic, but he has positive biomarkers. And so this is also an ethical issue, because probably this is an waiting patients, waiting for the overt diagnosis. When we have biomarkers negative or not performed, but we have specific symptom, the diagnosis will be mild cognitive impairment, which is a transition state between the normal brain aging and an overt dementia. Finally, when we do not have specific symptom or biomarkers, we can call normal brain aging or subjective cognitive impairment, or probably non-AD related cognitive disorders. So nowadays we still have few therapeutic options for dementia and for Alzheimer's disease in particular. The only FDA-approved drugs, as we know, are the cholinesterase inhibitors, the anti-NMDA drug memantine, the recent introduced monoclonal antibody aducanumab. But a lot of alternative approach has also been developed in the last years, ranging from alternative approach based on vitamin or other chemical compounds or some hormones, some herbs from ginkgo biloba to saffron and so on. And also some new approach based on anti-inflammatory treatment, Mirna treatment, and the approach based on the gut microbiota alteration. But non-pharmacological approach is also relevant, especially for the prevention and the early management of these patients, which are based on physical activities, social activities, and also nutrition. So all of these approaches may improve lots of domains which are impaired in AD, from cognitive functions to behavior to acting on neural plasticity, reducing oxidative stress, and so on. But just to clarify, which is the broad spectrum of nutraceuticals or nutri-food, of medi-food, there are several definitions. I will show you this slide where we have at least 3 different categories ranging from food on one side and drugs on the other side. So food, of course, are not nutraceutical, but functional food and nutritional supplements are those molecules that best are links with food itself. On the other side of the spectrum, we have the so-called medical nutrition. In other words, patients with special nutritional needs, for instance, specialized infants for feeding formulas, nutrition for frail or chronically ill patients, for elderly, and so on. In the middle, we have the core nutraceutical, which are devoted to people with common health problems, such as cholesterol-lowering products, and so on. And all of these substances and molecules can be applied at every level of prevention, from the primary prevention till the tertiary prevention via the secondary prevention, because they can act on different levels. So from healthy aging subjects, where there is no amyloid plaques, no demyelinated neurons, new neurodegeneration, which would be the best target for prevention. Then in patients with mild cognitive impairment, who has small amyloid plaque deposition, demyelination, and neurodegeneration, till an overt Alzheimer's disease, where these products can still have a role, also, of course, not disease modifying. But also the nutraceutical, the dietary compounds, and unhealthy lifestyles more in general can act also on normal brain aging, enhancing cognition in humans during both physiological and pathological brain aging. They also can act on a more molecular levels, preventing DNA damage, preventing protein aggregation, reducing oxidative stress, and rescuing the DNA damage and protein aggregation, which we know are the hallmarks of the disease. This is why, this because, of course, there are several hallmarks of Alzheimer's disease, not only the beta amyloid plaques and the neurofibrillary tangles. We know today that also neuroinflammation is significantly, strongly involved in neurodegeneration because of microglia activation. And the Alzheimer's disease is not just one transmitter disease, but is a polyneurotransmitter disorders, a network disorders involving acetylcholine, as known, but also several other transmitters, from glutamate to GABA to adrenaline to serotonin and so on. Also, the mitochondrial dysfunction is a key actor of the degenerative process and the deregulation of Mirna. So the non-pharmacological approach based on nutraceutical or food or healthy lifestyle may act on several targets. So this provides us the possibility to a multimodal potential approach to the disease. And of course, the peripheral brain interplay is significantly involved in this topic, because as we know, the brain-gut microbiota axis is part of the degenerative process because of the continuous interplay between microbiota, the gut, where is the enteric nervous system works, and the central nervous system, both in terms of brain and spinal cord and peripheral nerves. This because of the leaky blood-brain barrier, the neuroinflammation arising from the peripheral inflammation, who favors also the central amyloid beta formation, and so the neurodegeneration. At the gut level, we have the leaky gut, the gut inflammation, and also the peripheral amyloid beta plaque formation in the enteric neurons, so supporting the hypothesis of the second brain in our belly. About the studies, however, so moving from a theoretical to a practical point of view, we can see that unfortunately many of the studies testing the use of probiotics to positively modulate the gut microbiota in Alzheimer's disease, as you can see, needs further investigation, and sometimes some positive effect can be observed, such as the prevention in the drop of hippocampal BDNF expression on the maintaining of an NMDA receptor at the normal level, the restoration of BDNF levels in the hippocampus, and so on. Unfortunately, as this recent systematic review of all randomized controlled trials reports, there is still no definitive consensus on the dietary intervention and cognition in patients with Alzheimer's disease. But as stated before, Alzheimer's disease is too late, is absolutely too late in terms of disease-modifying approaches. Because as you can see in this systematic review of 32 RCT studies, most of the primary studies were methodologically poor, including patients with mild disease, small samples, and did not obtain significant results for all the cognitive outcomes. It means that there is sometimes some effect, but is not stable and not observed for all cognitive domains. And when we look at the follow-up studies, this is another recent 10-year systematic review of RCT studies on the long-term effect of these nutraceutical and dietary supplements. Unfortunately, as you can see, there is still no compelling evidence to support the use of nutraceuticals to improve cognition in elderly. So, also, lifestyle, blood biomarkers, and genetic risk factors have to be considered. So the role of nutraceutical is still ongoing, and of course the aim and the expected impact of this call will surely fill the gap on this topic. So the last slides are dedicated to the details of the call for proposal called NutriBrain, modulation of brain aging through nutrition and healthy lifestyle. So the rationale has already been stated, and as said, there is no proven disease-modifying treatment for cognitive impairment. Epidemiological study, however, suggests that obesity, inadequate nutrition, protein energy malnutrition, poor sleep, and physical inactivity increase the risk of cognitive impairment. Also, there is still, as said, limited evidence on that. So in this call, we aim to support transnational research projects focusing on the improvement of cognitive brain aging through nutrition and other lifestyle factors, in order to provide a public health approach for health promotion and disease prevention in large population groups. So one of the aim is to test an experimental hypothesis in a large cohorts or relevant subgroups. And please note that at least one of the following lifestyle factors should be investigated. So nutrition, physical activity, sleep pattern, and social interaction and stress. Moreover, proposals shall include one of the following approach. So pilot test interventions that will help to lower the risk of cognitive impairment related to a pathological brain aging, or upscaling of an existing pilot intervention that help to lower the risk as well related to a pathological brain aging. Moreover, the proposal may be supplemented by one of the following approach. So a mechanistic or experimental research focusing on how specific lifestyle factors influence brain aging, and translational research, so from bench to bedside, as we usually say, that will establish indeed a proof of concept to develop effective health improvement strategies and or solutions to promote a healthy brain. So these are some hints that the applicants should consider. So please, research proposal may focus on a specific population group. So the intervention should be directed, for instance, in those people with obesity or sarcopenia or specific phenotype, because they may benefit more from a particular dietary or physical activity. So we should focus our target. Again, for projects focusing on the prevention of cognitive impairment because the onset of clinical symptoms, the target group is not necessarily elderly. As said at the beginning, we are assisting to a tsunami also in younger subjects. So also adults, young adults, or other age groups may be considered. Another important point is that applicants should make use of existing biobanks of cohorts, if applicable, of course. Otherwise, it should be explained why existing cohorts are not used. Applicants need to define the standardized protocol for sample collection, isolation, and analysis method, and to explain the tools they plan to use. So, for instance, how to measure nutritional status, how to quantify dietary consumption, eating behavior, or other lifestyle and cognitive factors. Again, when relevant, please employ existing biomarkers or surrogate outcomes that strongly are related to the risk of cognitive impairment. And these, you can see some examples. So biomarkers from gut-brain axis or neuroendocrine signaling, microbiota, okay? And the development of a new biomarker is not within the scope of the call. So we should start from what we have, what we know, and try to enhance these existing biomarkers or surrogate outcomes. There may be also the opportunity to use omic approach, as well as brain imaging, microbiota study linked digital health data to get more robust measures of diet, nutrition, sleep, physical activity, and so on. The project should be consumer-centered, so the involvement of the target population in the research is strongly encouraged at the all stage of research design, so from the design to the implementation, from the analysis to the dissemination. And the research proposals are encouraged to also apply participatory methods, agenda settings, informal setting, crowdsourcing, data collection. Please also consider the potential, I would not call them bias, but moderators of effect. Sometimes they can become bias. The age group, sex, gender, ethnic, or other demographic features or difference in their respective research approaches. And when relevant, emerging model system should be preferred to animal model. So this is a human targeted call. Of course, data from preclinical animal models are of pivotal importance, but they should have a translational value. I mean, they should provide hints for application in human physiology and diseases. The impact indicator shall be identified at the project proposal stage. Applicants are encouraged to consider the gender balance in the composition of the consortia and to balance the responsibility between them. The proposed research shall not overlap with previous studies funded from other organizations, and of course, early career scientists, I mean master students, PhD students, postdoc, and more in general, early career researchers are strongly supported in the consortium. So, proposals that conversely relate purely to the study of pathomechanisms are not eligible for funding this goal. What does it mean? It means that, as already stated, all the proposals should have a clear translational application, not just for the study or pathogenesis or the molecular mechanisms and so on. Okay, please note that additional condition may apply at the national level. There is an appendix which is dedicated to the special condition applying to each nation included in the call. So the expected impact is to pilot test intervention based on the existing evidence in the literature or to upscale existing pilot intervention. This will include new insight on how lifestyle in general and in particular dietary choices, physical activity, sleep, social interaction, and stress might affect positively, of course, the trajectory of brain aging, underpinning the development of new products, services, and policies for both middle-aged, so adults, and older people. In a prospective point of view, this improved brain aging may increase the independence and lower the individual risk of cognitive disorder. So, probably when we see a patient with a mild cognitive impairment, okay, we can slow his progression, we can lower his risk of progression, but the neurodegenerative process is already ongoing. Our best target is the patient with a subjective cognitive impairment without any evidence of neurodegeneration, or the normal brain aging, in order to improve the trajectory of cognitive disorder. Translationally, this will fill the gap between the scientific evidence on the protective role of healthy lifestyle factors and the current lack of systematic application in clinical healthcare-related setting and active aging policies. I have also ordered some technical notes, but probably these are this will be this will be this will be the topic of the next speakers. So I would like to thank you for your attention, for listening, and of course we'll be more than happy to answer to your question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Giuseppe. I see at the moment no questions in the chat, apart the request if the slides and the video will be available. And okay, we already answered in the chat that they will be available. So it seems that your presentation was very clear, and everybody is satisfied with your presentation. So I don't see any question. I must say that I'm not a doctor, I'm an engineer, and I follow with you very, very nicely. So thank you very much. Okay. Yeah, I see, in fact, some thanks in the chat. So I think we can move to the next point in the agenda. If someone has very last minute questions, yeah, just last minute, but okay.
Aldo, just to clarify that, of course, I will try to keep connected as much as possible, but unfortunately I am at work in the ward at the hospital in this at this moment. So I will try to keep online, but of course I will be also at the participant disposal for every question, for every concern, also after the end of the meeting, of course.
Yes, in the meantime, we will receive the question. The question is simple. Can Parkinson's disease be considered?
This is a very good question because Parkinson's disease is, of course, the second neurodegenerative disorder after Alzheimer's disease. And we know that from 20 to 40% of patients with Parkinson's develop also cognitive complaint. But it's a different model. And I think that the topic of the call is more focused on cognitive, on primary cognitive complaints. So the subjective cognitive disorder, the mild cognitive impairment, and Alzheimer's disease and other dementia. But from a scientific perspective, strictly, I would say that, of course, if the study, the proposal points on early detection of cognitive impairment in Parkinson's disease, I think that it would be appropriate as well.
Okay, thank you. There are no. Another question. Are there specific guidelines with respect to measuring the cognitive outcome?
Sorry, very clear. Are there specific guidelines with respect to measures cognitive outcome? This is another good question. Thank you. There are no specific guidelines for measuring cognitive outcome, or in other words, every proposal may include the cognitive tools that they think are appropriate to measure cognitive outcome. For instance, if the proposal uses global cognitive screening tool, they can use them at the beginning of the study and then reevaluate the participants, the patients, subjects at the end with the same cognitive tools. Of course, the diagnosis should be always according to the international guidelines for mild cognitive impairment, for Alzheimer's dementia, and so on.
Okay, in the meantime, there are other questions. So the problem very often is to break the ice. Now, exactly. Should the court include adults or elderly people, or is it possible to focus on adolescents, for example?
I think that the proposal should focus on adults and all elderly, because we know that from epidemiological data, we know that cognitive complaints are typical of the adults and elderly age groups. Adolescents, I think they are not appropriate because the adolescent may have not still completed the cognitive development, you know. So in this case, we do not call them cognitive decline or cognitive impairment, but is a delayed or incomplete cognitive development, which is a different topic.
Another question is about what about the psychiatric conditions that have been associated to cognitive impairment, such as schizophrenia, could be included in the call? In this call?
Okay, I thank the participant for this question. Of course, I am a neurologist, so I could not talk about psychiatric disorders, but we know that along the degenerative process, even in the early stages, the cognitive, the psychiatric comorbidity is very frequent. And especially in patients with dementia, we have a constellation of psychiatric disorders which are called behavioral psychological symptoms of dementia. But they are not strictly psychiatric disorder. They are psychiatric comorbidities occurring during the course of dementia. So the call, if I well understood, is not should not include psychiatric patients such as schizophrenia and so on, but should focus on the age-related cognitive disorders. Psychiatric disorders could occur along this aging-related cognitive impairment, not as a primary disease.
Okay, another one, do the research proposal focus on specific vulnerable population, as an example, people with metabolic syndrome or obesity and so on?
Yeah, of course, yes. The answer is yes, because as stated in the presentation, the target should be as more focused as possible. I mean, it's too much generic to state or to aim to a generic or general presentation to all people. We should focus on a high-risk population, for instance, obesity or metabolic syndrome or cardiopathic patients and so on. So yes.
Okay, the next one, the first part I can answer. The platform for creation of consortia is already available in the website. I will give you the link later on. The second part is frailty population would be an option.
Of course, yes, absolutely. The frailty population are those more at risk for develop cognitive impairment. So the mild cognitive impairment, which is a sort of pre-dementia state, is one of the target. But as stated, probably the MCI patients is already a pre-Alzheimer's disease patients. So would be a nice target, but I would advise to focus on pre-MCI stages. For instance, the single memory deficit or subjective cognitive disorders.
Another question, if we focus on prevention, measuring a cognitive decline might not be the best result, especially because the project only lasts for 3 years. Do you agree that measuring the reduction of the known risk factors for semigrazia, insulin resistance would also be very promising?
Yes, of course, we could focus also on the known risk factor. Insulin resistance is one of these, but also, as said, cardio-cerebrovascular risk factors are also. But at the same time, we need also the outcome measures, and the outcome measures should be focused on cognitive outcomes, because the study, the proposal is on cognitive prevention. It's not on the prevention of hypertension or diabetes or so on. So I acknowledge that 2 years is not a very long period, but the outcome measure should be related to the cognitive profile of patients.
Yeah, we have other questions. Please tell me when you have to leave. We stop at that moment, but I go on until you tell me. You said at the beginning that the call is about developing a public health approach. I was wondering how results of a pilot intervention should lead to a change in public health. Would it not lead to larger studies?
Yes, of course. The public health approach should be read in terms of prevention as much as possible. I mean, an approach that may involve as much as possible subjects in the study itself. But of course, this is a pilot intervention, as the participant states, and this would require time in order to be change promoting in public health. But of course, the pilot study may be followed by larger studies as well. But the concept was, do not include small samples, because small samples do not allow reliable statistics, do not allow the replication, do not allow the replication of these results and so on.
Another question. Can we address the research proposal to the impact of nutrition on behavioral disorders and cognitive disorders?
Yes, of course. Among the outcome measures may be included also extra cognitive or non-cognitive outcome measures. For instance, the behavioral outcomes may be also considered because of the strict interplay with the cognitive profile as well, or also some more global outcome measures such as the quality of life, the functional independence, and so on.
Okay, now a question about animal studies. Are the animal studies very unlikely to be funded? Specifically, preclinical models assessing the brain-specific markers and specific nutritional effects in vulnerable models, which would be unethical or impossible to perform in humans, or also lifespan-related studies, which would not be possible to perform in humans in 36 months. There seems to be a lot of stress on human studies, so I'm wondering if the effort to put together the consortium and the application would be rather futile in the end.
Oh, I don't know, actually. I think that call aiming at early detection of disease are never futile, of course, but I also acknowledge the point of the participant because we know the importance of preclinical study. I actually cannot answer to the questions, are animal studies very unlikely to be funded? I would say that this is a human-based study, so the preclinical components may be probably funded if it has a translational application in humans disease. But we know that also some preclinical models of dementia, such as AD, but other vascular or degenerative dementia, cannot be exactly representative of what occurs in the human brain. So I think that the best solution, the best proposal may be a specific dietary or physical activity or sleep-based intervention in animals that can be translated or at least hypothesized to be applied also in human studies.
Okay, and now what about including in the of the intervention with functional foods or nutraceuticals in the proposal?
Okay, functional food are actually a bit different from nutraceuticals because functional food are still foods. So they are foods, but with a clear, established biochemical or neurochemical action. On the other hand, nutraceuticals are chemical compounds, which are not food, that may act on a specific neurological or psychiatric function, okay, to improve them. I think that functional food are, of course, welcome, but I also think that nutraceuticals can be proposed. Yeah.
Okay, and the last one.
With nutraceutical compounds with a clear positive effect on the human brain.
Okay, the last one is a good microbiota an appropriate biomarker considering the limitations of knowing the biological relevance of it?
Yeah, this is another good question because the biomarkers derived from microbiota are still a challenge for both clinicians and researchers. Because sometimes the enthusiasm related to the microbiota is calmed down, is toned down by the scientific evidence. But I think that an appropriate biomarker from microbiota may be proposed, of course, based on the literature evidence.
Excuse me, but it's another one, very last one, I think.
No problem.
What about the proposal about popular food or beverages such as coffee?
what about proposal about popular food or beverage such as coffee? This is a very appreciated question, because also for clinical research, the use of coffee and red wine is one of my research interests. We have published some papers on this topic. I would say yes, because both coffee or, for instance, red wine or omega-3 or not omega-3, sorry, and or other nutrition-based compounds may be proposed. Yes, because of the known effects as psychostimulants or antioxidants as well. So they have, of course, at nutritional doses quantity, a neuroprotective effect.
There's another one. Can the call be used for ongoing longitudinal projects that analyze this relationship?
So scientifically, I would answer yes. From an administrative perspective, my answer is I don't know, because as stated, this project cannot be combined with the funds received from other organizations. So if the study is already the study by the proposal is already financed by other groups or other corporation, other organization, could not be joined or used for this call as well.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor. I think this was the last one. Okay, thank you.
Another one, maybe
you have still
the
time.
last.
Oh yes, there's another one. What do you think about the nutraceutical and food supplements that will defend the metabolism against the COVID-19? I don't know if this is a
the question is very interesting, and the topic is absolutely intriguing, because also for the long COVID disorders. Okay, I think that both food supplements and nutraceutical can be also proposed to defend the metabolism against COVID-19, but in the case of neuro-COVID, I would say. Because you know that many patients with long COVID or post-COVID syndrome developed asthenia, develop cognitive fog, okay, which is a sort of mild cognitive impairment related to the COVID disease. So I think would be nice, yes, could be included in the call, yes.
Okay, now I have another one which I don't understand. D4 and I don't know what it means. From the Lord to the Castillo.
D4.
I don't know. Okay, but I think we can close all. We are well behind the schedule.
Sorry for that.
Okay.
Just the effect. Just the effect of vitamin D in the pathology. Yes, this is another fascinating topic, because of the pleiotropic effect of vitamin D also in cognitive disorders. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Now I would like really to stop to this part, even very interesting, a lot of questions at the end. So, okay, but we have some other messages to pass to the applicant, which are much more boring than this, especially for scientists, but also needed, because we need to have to respect some administrative points which are needed to be funded. Since we are using public money, we need to respect some rules, also administrative and legal rules. Okay, thank you very much, Professor. We continue with the other points.
Thank you. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye. I'll share again my screen. Okay. I hope you can see again my screen. So let's pass to the second point of the presentation of the call. Okay, I'm starting with some very brief, very to the point information, which are very important, the deadlines. This is a call, you all know, and every call has deadlines. So this call is structured in 2 steps. First, you have to submit a pre-proposal, and the deadline is the 15th of January at 16 CAT, Central European Time. Please be aware that this is a very sharp deadline. After this moment, you cannot submit anything, and if someone tries to submit after, the application will be considered ineligible. The second deadline is for the full proposal, because after the first step, the pre-proposal selected for and invited for the second step will have to submit a full proposal by the 27th of May, at the same time, but this time is the Central European summer time. Okay, the next one, general conditions. It was the last slide of the doctor. The duration of the project is 36 months. Here I wrote the initial duration because we all know that during the project execution there could be delays and also the request for extensions, so this could be accommodated, limited extensions. But for the moment, taking into account that the project, your proposal will have to last 36 months. Proposal must clearly demonstrate the potential health, economic, and/or policy impacts, as well as the added value of transnational collaboration. This means sharing of resources, models, registries, diagnosis, etc. Then harmonization of data, sharing of specific know-how, and/or innovative technologies. All things which are already the Professor Lanza explained to you. Maybe I would like to stress on the point of transnational collaboration. So the partners you involve in your project should be really needed to have a collaboration, an effective collaboration, which to reach some goals which otherwise could not have been reached without this transnational collaboration. And then another important point that the proposal should follow the principles of the responsible research and innovation. At the end, we will have a special intervention of this point to clarify better it, so I will not touch it. Okay, this call is funded by all these funding agencies distributed in 19 countries and the European Commission, the European Union, with the union money. And you here see the money committed by these funding agencies. On top of this, there will be other money committed by the union. Please take into account, for those of you who already downloaded the first version of the call text, that today we published an improved version, an amended version of the call text, where we added 2 more funding agencies, TÜBİTAK from Turkey and LCS from Latvia. In the next days, probably there will be a third version with possibly another two funding agencies added. I will tell you about later on. But okay, keep an eye on our website, on the website of ERA4Health, because there will be improved version or amended version published in the next days. Especially not for the call text, for the topic description, this will not change, but for the involvement of funding agencies at the national level, the amount, some administrative details, this can be changed, but not the content of the call. Okay, as I said, there are 23 funding organizations from 19 countries. At present, there is a national, regional budget committed by nearly 20 million euro. Probably there will be another million, more or less, added if the other two agencies will join at the end. And on top of this, there is the European Union money. The eligibility criteria. These are the criteria, the basic criteria which you have to respect to submit an application which will be evaluated and considered for funding if it is good from the scientific point of view. But if you don't respect the eligibility criteria, the proposal will not even go to the scientific evaluation. So please take into account this criteria. Here you have in this slide the eligible partners who can participate to the project. The academia means public and private universities or higher education institutions or research institutes. Also the clinical public health sector, so research teams working in clinical hospitals, public health or other healthcare settings, and health organizations, including primary health care. Enterprises can be also funded, not by everybody, but I will tell you after. Enterprises, which means a company dedicated to communication or involved in health research and innovation, and also operational stakeholders, for example, patient advocacy organizations, municipalities and local governments, local and national non-governative organizations. I was saying before that this is the general list of eligible partners, but please check the detailed list of your own funding agency, the funding agency of your country, because there could be differences. I mean, there could be some agencies that probably cannot fund all these partners, but be part of these partners. So consult the annex to the call text, the annex related to your country, to your funding agency. Size of the consortium is another eligibility criterion. There can be between 3 and 5 eligible partners from at least 3 different countries participating in the call. This is mandatory. Then you can add 1 or 2 partners more, but only if this partner come from the countries which are listed here: Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Romania, and Slovakia. There are countries which are in the past experience are not present enough in this kind of projects, so we decided to favor the participation of this partner from these partners from these countries. Sorry. Then you can include also another condition: no more than 2 eligible partners from the same country participating in the call will be accepted within one consortium. So in the case that there are 5 eligible partners, it's normal. Okay, if you have to have 3 countries and 5, so no one can have more than 2. But if you add another up to 6 or 7, the maximum number of partners from one country is always 2. You cannot have more than 2 partners from the same country. Then on top of this 3 to 7, let's say, partners, you can add 2 collaborators, up to 2 collaborators. Collaborators are partners which are not funded, so they participate with their own funds. They are not funded for different reasons. For example, because they are from other countries, not participating to the call, not funding this call, or because they are not eligible for funding by the country already in the call, or maybe because they don't want to be funded for whatever reason. So you can add a maximum of 2 collaborators. About the collaborators, there are some conditions. If you add them because they bring another value to the proposal. Those partners need to secure their funding, and they have to provide an evidence in the proposal that the funding for them is already in place, so they have the funds, the means to participate and to fund their own activities. So they need to submit together with the application a letter of commitment. And also other condition: a collaborator cannot be a work package leader or even a project leader, of course. So just to synthesize in one table the size of consortium: 3 to 5 partners. There are no constraints. and you can add always 2 collaborators. If you want to have 6 partners, at least 1 from other represented countries. If you want 7, at least 2. No limits, no difference between for the collaborators. The consortium, there are also there's another eligibility criterion about the composition of the consortium, about the, in this case, the principal investigator, which is the person, which is not the entity. The researcher, which has the role of principal investigator, can submit only 1 proposal as project coordinator, or up to 2 proposals as mere partner. This means that 1 person cannot submit a proposal as coordinator plus another one as a partner. This is not eligible. If one is coordinator, cannot participate in any other partner, in any other project. Sorry. If this person is participating as a partner, only in 2 proposals, no more than 2 proposals. There could be other limitations imposed at the national or regional level. So please, again, see the national and regional annexes to the call, or get in touch with your contact point. As I said during the previous presentation, in answer to your question from a couple of you, there is already a partner search tool available, and there you have the link to go there, and you offer your participation, your availability to participate in a project, or look for a partner if you are already preparing a proposal and you are looking for a partner, so you can match offer and demand in this partner search tool. Financial and legal modalities. Here I repeat again, sorry to repeat many times, but my experience, I have participated in more than 100 calls I've managed in my career. And in every call, there is always someone who is not eligible because he or she didn't read the national annex. So for stupid mistakes, which could have been avoided just reading the national annex. So please go and read the national annex, because the financial and legal modalities are different from country to country. These are not Horizon Europe projects where there is only one rule which is valid for everybody. These are partnership projects which are funded at national level mainly. And this means that the European rules are not applicable. Here, only the national and regional rules are applicable. So you need to read carefully the annex and get in touch with your contact point if needed. Especially for the coordinators, don't try to do as you normally do if you are preparing an application to the Horizon Europe. You cannot do everything by yourself. Each of your partners should take care of his own financial and legal rules, because they are, as I said, they are different country from country, and it's impossible that one person can manage all of them. Very often they are written in local language, so it's really very difficult to understand. Okay, some dates. Already a few of them, the 2 more important I already told you. Okay, the publication was published at the call, the deadline for the proposal the 15th of January. Then we think that we can be able to communicate you the proposal which are selected to go to the second step by at latest the 27th of March next year. You will have 2 months to prepare the full proposal and submit by the 27th of May. After the submission, there will be an evaluation. You will be notified about the results of the evaluation, and you have time, the possibility to send a rebuttal, to send a sort of appeal against the scientific evaluation. Your rebuttal, together with the evaluation, the first evaluation, will be examine it again, and then at the end we will take the final decision. The final decision, we expect the final decision will be communicated to you by mid-October 2024, and the project should start between December 2024 and May 2025. Please don't think later dates, because since we have to stay within the frame of the European partnership, we cannot go too far. We cannot go after May and have a project starting much later than this. Okay, submission of joint proposals. Okay, the submission, to submit the proposal, you need to fill in a proposal template, which will be available in the ERA4Health website. Here, I have to tell you that initially the idea was to have the proposal template and the website for the submission already today, but for technical reasons, we need a few more days before the platform will be open. So please wait a few days and keep an eye on the platform until you find it open, and there on the platform you can download the proposal template. The template for the full proposal will be distributed by ourselves only to the proposal which will be accepted for the second stage. The use of pre-proposal or full proposal templates is mandatory, is another eligibility criterion. If you don't use this template, the proposal will be considered declared non-eligible. I want to tell you another thing, that you have to fill in the template online, part of the template online, and you have to repeat this information plus other information in a document which to be uploaded as a PDF. We need this double say submission of only part of the information, not everybody, for technical reasons. So since we have to communicate to the European Commission a database, to give a database of the submitted proposal in a certain format, we need to have this double submission. If applicable, you have to submit also a legal ethical approval document according to the concern and the country's regional regulations. And another important point, for some countries, for some regional or national funding agencies, it is mandatory to submit a national application or national documents or whatever. So please check again the national annex or contact your contact point in order to see what you have to do at the national level. Okay, now that's it for the submission of proposals. Now I'll tell you briefly something about the evaluation. The eligibility evaluation is split into parts. So there are the eligibility checks and the scientific evaluation. The eligibility is just an administrative assessment. The proposal will be checked, both of the proposal, full proposal, in order to see if they comply with all the eligibility criteria which I already explained to you. And these checks will be done at two levels: at international level by the Joint Call Secretariat, which we are managing, to ensure that the proposal meets all the international eligibility requirements. Here you have a list of some. And also the partners in this case will be, the eligibility of the partner will be checked at the national and regional level by the funding organization. If both checks are positive, eligibility checks are positive, and the proposal is considered all in all eligible, so the scientific evaluation will start. The proposal will be sent for review to 3 reviewers, so that they will review the scientific part in accordance with the evaluation criteria I will show you later, and will write a complete written evaluation with scores and comments for each evaluation criterion. Starting from the scores assigned by the 3 reviewers, the joint call secretariat calculates the total score, which would be used to rank all pre-proposal. And at the end, the call steering committee, which is a committee which reunites all representative people from all the funding agencies. This committee will select the proposal to be invited for the second step on the basis of the ranking list and in order to ensure a reasonable balance of requested and available national regional budgets. Okay, then this is all for the pre-proposal. Then for the full proposal, the procedure is a bit more complex. Again, each full proposal will be allocated to 3 reviewers, and the reviewers, as in the first stage, will be selected in order to avoid any conflict of interest. The reviewers perform again the assessment and give again score and comments. Then these scores and comments will be sent to the coordinator of each proposals, and so the coordinator can answer to these comments and submit the so-called rebuttal. After this phase, the peer review panel, composed by 20-25 experts, will meet and discuss all proposals, taking into account the proposal, the first evaluation by the remote evaluators, the rebuttal, and will produce the final ranking list of proposals, dividing them in 3 categories: A, B, and C. A, highly recommended for funding; B, recommended for funding if there is funding available; and C, not recommended for funding. Based on this ranking list, the co-steering committee, again, as a final act, selects a proposal to be funded following the ranking list and taking account of the available national and regional budgets, of course. Evaluation criteria. I'm not going to read all of them. These are typical evaluation criteria, which you can find in many calls, and then you will have also the call text and also the slides. Because since we are a bit late, I will go towards the end. I already announced to you that the call text was updated and published today. The second version, which in the 3 different differences within the first version are listed here. The inclusion of the TÜBİTAK and Latvian Council of Science as funding agencies, modification of the national annex of the Italian Ministry of Health, and the modification of the national annex of the Institute of Salud Carlos III from Spain. Another important information, in the next days there could be a new version of the call text, because there are two other funding agencies which may join. The first one has already provided almost everything is needed to be included, so it's almost sure that Ireland will be included in the call. There will be another funding agencies. For the Canadian Institute of Health Research, we are waiting some more documents, but luckily they will be included as well. So take and keep an eye on the website to see if those 2 funding institutes will join us in funding this call. My last slide about the application submission platform. Since it is not open, I cannot show you. My plan was to enter into the website and show it, but here you have just two screenshots together. This is not one page, actually. There are 2 parts of the page. On the right side here, you see all the list of all the parts that you have to fill in. You have an overview of the call, a statement about the privacy. Then you have to fill in general information, the data about the coordinator, the data about the project partners, project description, and then you can do a final check before the submission and submit it. The project description, this is the second part, the second part you see on the left side of the slide, it's you have to download the application form, complete it and save in a PDF format, and then upload again this document. For the other part of the application, you can fill it online. And that's it for my presentation. Now I would like to give you the floor to my colleague from Norway, to Ellen Marie Forsberg, for the presentation of the ERA, and I stop sharing my screen. Okay, so that Ellen can, sorry, in the meantime, it became dark here. Please, is Ellen Marie? Here? I don't see. I don't know if Ellen is with us. Can you hear me?
I've seen her for a while online, and now I can't see her anymore.
Okay. But maybe we can go with the questions and then see if she will join us. I don't know if she had maybe some technical problems. Okay. Let me go back. Okay. I think this is the first one for the Turkey was in support of countries in the pre-announcement. Yes, Turkey initially was not in the first version. I told you it was not in the among the funding agencies, because we need to have some, let's say, paper documents, some complete before we can add funding agency in the call text. Everything should be formally complete. From Turkey, we received yesterday the everything. So in the new version online today, Turkey is in, as well as Latvia. And for Canada, I told you, okay, this is the second question is again on this point, which I already answered. Enterprises dedicated exclusively, I suppose that it should be also dedicated to health research. I mean, for only to communication could be also, it depends on the funding rules of your national agency, because some national agencies can fund only research activities and not only communication activities. So you have to see at national level if an enterprise only dedicated to communication can be funded. I would say that mainly in most cases they have to be dedicated to health research and communication, but there can be exceptions. Which other agencies will participate? I already announced. We have no information about other countries, about the one I mentioned. Okay, about the pot. If a country has a certain amount, it does mean that the part of that country is only applying for that pot. Yes, that's true. The main rule in this kind of calls, transnational call, is that each funding agency funds only the participant from his country. It's not possible. 99.9% is not possible that one funding agency can fund someone from another country. So this means that if, for example, Italy, my ministry has 1 million euro, we can use this money only to fund Italian participants. Somehow to let's say there is the union money, which can be added to the national money. It will be added, okay. It will be added to the national money to increase the national budget. So in order to fund more proposals, more partners from that country, not only for that part. Private clinical centers can private clinical centers participate as partners since they are considered large companies. From the international point of view, yes, they can. From the national point of view, you have to check the funding rules of your own funding agency, because not all of them can fund private partners or large companies. In Italy, we can, for example, but again, I don't want to repeat again what we do in Italy because it could be misleading. Now we are discussing about international conditions. For national conditions, please contact your own contact points. For as far as Italy consider, you can contact me or Sara, Cella, but not today. Per case included. Thank you. Okay, thank you also to you. Thank you again. Private Institute of Research. Yes, the same answer I gave already. Depends on the national rules. Two proposals for ERA4Health. Sorry, close the microphone.
No, it's my fault. I'm having trouble here, but I'm trying to fix it.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Just go on, and I will try to find a solution to show my slides and talk from a mobile. There's something wrong for some reason.
Okay, can you do your presentation from your mobile, Ellen? Because I don't have the presentation, so I cannot help you. Okay.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Oh, I'm really sorry. I've been here the whole meeting, and I don't know why it went out when I tried to put my microphone on. Am I just interrupting now, Aldo? Would you like to complete something before I start?
Yes, okay, you can start.
I can start, okay. Yeah, I have no idea what happened. It's never happened to me before.
No, don't worry.
It's Friday afternoon, maybe that's the reason. Okay, so I should just start and be quick, I suppose, because we're running late.
Okay, don't worry, go on.
Okay, great. Yeah, again, I'm trying to make sure I'm not double here. Yes, I'm going to present the responsible research and innovation in ERA4Health. And I'm Ellen Marie Forsberg from NORSIS, the Norwegian Institute for Sustainability Research. And I have included my colleague Rob Smith here from the University of Edinburgh because we usually work as a team in ERA4Health. And he's not here, but yeah, we work on this together. So I guess you have to give me control. Let's see. Or maybe it's working. Yes. So I will just convey what responsible research and innovation, or RRI, as we say, what it's about. And many of you probably know about it from the health context, but I will explain anyway and how we relate to it here in ERA4Health. So it's about doing the right science right. And it's included because it's important, especially for funders, to make sure that taxpayers' money are going into research and innovation that actually benefits society and does no significant harm. And it's easy to see how this particular call contributes to society. RRI is also about engaging public and societal stakeholders because science communities alone should not decide what is good for society or what is acceptable harm, and especially when it's so patient close as this program is about. So, and you can also say it's about the social responsibility of science. So to reflect on the directions of research being taken, who might benefit and who might experience new risks from research, and how these potential social, ethical, and environmental issues can be considered throughout the whole science and innovation process. And RRI is an approach, a policy approach, a research approach, a practice approach that offers techniques, tools, and frameworks to think about these questions of social responsibility, and to make sure that science and innovation is developed in line with societal values. So I like to show this definition of RRI from Horizon 2020, where they say responsible research and innovation is an approach that anticipates and assesses potential implications and societal expectations with regard to research and innovation, with the aim to foster the design of inclusive and sustainable research and innovation. So this is a quite nice, in my opinion, way to understand RRI. So it's about addressing societal needs, avoiding undesirable side effects, integrating responsibility into research and innovation practices and not outsourcing it, and engaging with stakeholders. And as has already been mentioned, we are talking about responsibility related to both social, environmental, ethical, political, and cultural issues. The European Commission had one definition in Horizon 2020. There is also another definition of responsible innovation that's been implemented in several national research councils, like this UK Engineering and Physical Sciences Research Council, and also in the Research Council of Norway and in other countries. It's called, we often talk about the ERA or area framework, and you can see on the left side there, it's about anticipating, reflecting, engaging, and acting. And this is also what we are, this kind of framework is what we have been implementing into this ERAnet. And as you may have seen, there are explicit NutriBrain RI requirements in the NutriBrain call. So it says in the call that proposals should follow the principles of RRI and demonstrate a commitment for investigating and addressing social, ethical, political, environmental, or cultural dimensions of the proposed research. And it is referred to the proposal template, which is going to come very soon. And also RRI guidelines for ERA4Health. I will be talking about these guidelines here, but I will only mention a few things, and then when it's published, you can see in more detail and get more advice on how to include RRI into your proposals. So it's important to note that these guidelines are similar to guidelines that have been used in other ERAnets, but they have been modified in a participatory process with the ERA4Health community. So both from the funders and from research communities that typically apply to this kind of calls. So it's been adapted already to the ERA4Health context. And as I said, I showed you the ERA or area framework, and now I will explain what it means in our context. So this is just taken from the guidelines that you will find soon. So the first principle is about anticipation. So it's about what future desirable and undesirable effects of the research may be, who will benefit from it, who might not, what can be done already at the research stage to encourage the good and minimizing the bad. The second ERA or RI principle is about inclusion. So whose voices and knowledge are shaping your research project? Are patient organizations or other users involved? Can they improve the quality of the research or even the innovation? So it's about talking together, not only dissemination and co-creating or co-designing knowledge. Then it's about reflection. So this should be done in the project consortia and should be planned for the project consortia. So reflecting on what you are doing, especially in cross-disciplinary consortia, it's important to talk together about what are the assumptions or values driving the research. Are you online? Do you understand it the same way? And also think about whether the way you understand your research or the goals of your research, would they be different, for instance, from other groups' understanding of the same? And then the fourth principle is about responsiveness. And that means that projects should be willing and able to change the research after anticipating or discussing and reflecting. So if you learn something important about the research you are doing, can you change what you have planned because you have learned that maybe this has some effects that you didn't anticipate? So that's about being responsive. So these are 4 basic principles. And when it comes to RRI, it's important to understand that it is not a straitjacket, or it's not the same for everything. RI typically must be adapted to the topic of the research, the actual social and ethical issues raised by the research in the project. So, and the extent and the way you include RI into a proposal or a project will depend on many things. For instance, foundational, very kind of basic exploratory research will maybe require more exploratory approach to RI. For instance, in the form of scenarios, than high TRL research, which is very close to application. And disruptive path-breaking research may require perhaps even a stronger effort to reflect than the more incremental research. So it's up to you to describe a convincing RRI approach. And we have some practical guidance for you in the guidelines. For instance, when you describe the RRI issues and how you're going to deal with it in your proposal, you can think about who will benefit, who will get the risks, who are the stakeholders, have you considered different kinds of public engagement activities, have you created these deliberative spaces, for instance, in the consortium meetings or workshops, where you can reflect on the context of your research. Have you considered adapting your choice of research methods, for example, regarding ethical issues? Have you considered gender or diversity perspectives, also more institutional questions regarding career progression or equity between partners in your research consortium? Have you shown how the project satisfy requirements for patient and production safety, for instance, and also some projects may have environmental impacts, and they should be reflected upon. And as I said, not all of these will be relevant for all projects, but this is just kind of a checklist for you to consider. And as I said, there is more detailed advice. So, but in general, you should treat RRI as an integrated part of the project. So it should influence the whole project, not just kind of outsource it to one task. And also to develop a shared understanding of the project's RRI aspects. What are really the values at stake here? And then also think about, and especially also in the proposal writing, develop the scientific and RRI components in tandem. So discuss with your consortium partners already now about the right way to include RRI. And of course, you need to show that you adequately resource RRI. It takes time, it takes effort and expertise and money. So you need to also have milestones and deadlines and deliverables and budgets. And of course, depending on the topic, it must be proportionate to the need for RRI in your particular project. So it can be the most easy way, perhaps, is to have a societal stakeholder in your advisory group if it doesn't require more, but you could have also for more controversial projects, you could have perhaps a separate work package. You could have workshops with citizens or with societal stakeholders. There are many ways to do it. And I will also point to some additional resources in the end. Just want to say how RI will be evaluated in this program. So ERA4Health requires that all proposers explain how their projects demonstrate a commitment to investigating and addressing the social, environmental, etc. dimensions. Integration of RI should lead to an improved understanding and awareness of possible benefits, risks, and uncertainties. It does not detract from the overall scoring, but contributes to it. So proposals that explicitly aim to advance processes of anticipation, reflection, inclusion, and responsiveness will be rewarded. So this is also, you can find in the call documents, specific evaluation criteria. Relating to excellence is about whether the RI approach is proportionate to the content of the proposal and how it's organized with deliverables, etc. Related to impact, you should describe, or it will be evaluated whether RI can shape the project's scientific trajectories and what's the societal impact and value for society would be. And also in implementation, it will be evaluated to what extent the RI work is adequately resourced, etc. So these are the further resources that I wanted to point you to if you want. So there are some, like the Societal Readiness Thinking Tool, have some, is a tool for helping you make design choices already in the proposal writing. And the other links here are really very useful for thinking about how you can include RI properly into your proposal and project. So thanks a lot for this.
Thank you very much, Ellen. I suggest that now we go on with the questions in the chat. There could be questions for me or for you, and depending on the questions, we will answer. Now, I think the first ones are only for me. For example, there are questions about the principal investigators. Someone asked, it's possible that a principal that the project coordinator is represented by two principal investigators? No, there could be only one principal investigator per partner. You cannot have two principal investigators for the same partner. Also, another one, I said that the principal investigator can participate at a maximum in two proposals. And the question is, two proposals of ERA4Health or two proposals in NutriBrain? A two proposals, I was referring to NutriBrain, to this call, not to other calls. We cannot mix together different calls. So only two proposals submitted to NutriBrain call, maximum. Then how many projects will be funded? It's very difficult, if not impossible, to answer to this question, because there are 25 now different funding agencies. Each one has its own budget. Some budgets will be exhausted first, some others later. So it depends on so many things that it's impossible. If you okay, I can tell you a number, but could be about 30 projects probably, but it could be even 25 or 35. I don't know. I think anyhow it will be a large number because the budget is quite high for this call. Then another question about the projects. So a question is, every partner in the consortium applies separately in own national agency? Yes or no? Okay, first of all, the consortium must apply to ERA4Health for the international call. Then each partner has to check his own national or regional rules. For some agencies, they need to submit an application or to send a letter, to send something. Some others don't request anything. So you have to check, each one has to check his own rules. So I cannot give you an answer which is valid for everybody. About the funding agencies, there are many questions about the some agencies which were present in the pre-announcement and not now. For example, Hungary. Hungary, yes, was in the pre-announcement and then decided for internal reasons not to participate to the call, to fund the call. So Hungary will not fund this call, while others joined or are about to join, and I already mentioned it to you many times during the presentation. So I think Hungary is the only one who will not participate at the end. Sorry. Okay. Other questions about this one? No. Okay. The question: how to create a consortium with a partner from outside the European Union? Well, looking at the countries participants, you have no problems. You can select whoever you want in this table, because normally is at least 3 partners from 3 different countries, and at least 2 must be participate European Union countries or associated to the framework program. And here, I think they are all associated, apart from, okay, no, but there could be Switzerland and Taiwan, which are not associated, so if I am not wrong. So in this case, a project with Taiwan, Switzerland, and another one is not acceptable, but all the others combination can be acceptable. Yeah, let's go on. It's possible to include a collaborator from Sweden? Yes, collaborator. So it means a partner not funded from Sweden or from any other countries can be added. Maximum 2, of course, per project. Template for proposal, you will be able to fund it in the application platform, which for the moment is not open, but in a few days it will be open. For the full proposal, we will send the format to you, to the partner which are admitted to the second step. Okay. About the platform, the exchange platform, this person is not sure whether the exchange platform allows sharing specific expertise. You have to enter into the platform, and then if you want to offer your participation in a project, you have to enter your expertise there, and then another partner, another one who is looking for a partner can find you. Okay. In the academia, can more than one department form a unit with a single PI? Yes. I would like to say that they have to be one in single unit. I'm not 100% sure about every country, but I think that in many countries, well, the same partner, the same legal entity cannot be participating with twice in the project. So if one legal entity is only one partner, and the 2 departments of university are the same legal entity, not 2 different legal entities.